We've got more details about the Nautilus for you. Just released an hour ago, Robert Space Industries talks about a lot of the community's questions regarding the new mine laying and collecting ship. And we're going to go over these questions after these messages. Today's video has been brought to you by the generous patrons of The Games who make continued content on The Games possible. The Games patrons enjoy monthly giveaways like Steam gift cards, Star Citizen packages, and any game that you want giveaways. Please consider donating just $1 if in any way you enjoyed The Games content. Thank you. And welcome back to The Games. So let's read over these questions, because I really think the Nautilus is going to change a lot of the warfare involving capital fleet to fleet combat, which, you know, like with large capital ships, I really think it's going to change the strategy going about how you attack larger ships. And I love that this is being introduced. I think that this ship is a lot further along than people think. A lot of people have been telling me that, you know, they need this for Squadron 42, and therefore, you know, it's essentially done. We've seen some of the interior shots of the Nautilus. I think that they're pretty far along on this. And I really think, you know, like I had a lot of issues if you watch my last video about fleet carriers and Elite Dangerous and how literally they're just nothing but like shiny trophies sitting out in space that you can't blow up. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'm very happy that Star Citizen isn't going the route of Elite Dangerous and making ships non-destructible. I mean, give me a break. What kind of space sim is that, dude? What kind of experience is that? Just absolutely, don't even get me started about that. I ran on that video more than enough, but this is the right direction. So let's see here. How long is the lifespan of the different mine types, and how long do they persist during logout? Ooh, now this was a question that we had asked here on the channel, and I had said, I hope that they're more than hours, because I'm thinking that like longer durations make a lot of sense, not like too long. So let's see what the answers are here. The question then continues, what happens if the parent ship is destroyed? Can mines be retrieved afterwards in such occurrences? And it says, once deployed and in use, a mine's components start to degrade. That's cool. So there's wear and tear on the mine. Their lifespan is dependent on the environment and how they are used. Interesting. Interesting. So there's going to be multiple uses for mines. That's really cool. And the environments, that's a really interesting choice of words there, that you could put them in different types of environments. I'm wondering if, you know, like atmospheric environments, maybe you can lay these on land somehow. I'm not quite sure exactly what that means about environments, but perhaps like different areas of space is what they're talking about. You know, like there's going to be some type of nebula that maybe like statically charged. You know, those mines aren't going to last very long there. I think that's more along the lines of what they're talking about. So it says, for example, regularly engaged weapon platforms will likely wear out and proximity mines will likely detonate before they degrade. Wow. If live but untriggered, we envisage a mine's lifespan to be measured in days rather than minutes. Oh my goodness. This makes the value of the Nautilus that much more important, if you ask me. That's really, really cool. Mine lifespan is not influenced by the state of the parent ship, be it destroyed or not. Deployed mines remember the original deployment ship, so can be retrieved afterwards. The mines are literally going to be signatured to the original Nautilus that laid them. Interesting. Now, I wonder if you're going to be able to take like another Nautilus and pick up the mines. Chime in below and let me know what you think about that, because this was supposed to be kind of like a mine layer and mine retriever. I'm curious if you can take another Nautilus and pick up mines that have been left. It sounds like you probably aren't going to be. I'm not quite sure. Tell me what you think in the comments below, guys. Are drone bays like the one in the Nautilus Universal, for example, can they equip, repair, refuel drones? And likewise, can other drone carrying ships like the Vulcan and Carrack equip Nemo drones? Now, the Nemo drones was a specific type of drone that we saw on our Nautilus video. You can go back to that. The Nautilus can equip and use drones from the Vulcan and Carrack, but lacks the equipment to repair or refit them for the specified roles. Similarly, the Vulcan and Carrack can equip Nemo drones, but don't have the means to store mines, so they would have to disable them and leave them behind. Interesting. So they're making them a little bit more versatile, but they're also kind of saying, hey, you want to use the Nemo drones, probably smart to use the Nautilus for it. That's kind of what I'm getting at with that answer. That makes sense. What's the rationale behind a near capital sized mine layer only having 24 mines to use in the infinite vastness of space? This sounds like a question of somebody who's upset that there's only like 24 mines to be able to be used on a large ship, which honestly 24 mines seems quite enough for me. A single mine covers a significant area because they all have proximity charges on them. So if something gets close and they go off, you don't have to bump into these things like old school nautical mines. These are, these are high-tech mines that can detect, a proximity. Now, what that proximity is, that would be interesting to know. This combined with not wanting players to have to deal with an unwieldy number of mines, obviously SSOCS issues, and the technical implications of keeping them around resulted in the capacity of the Nautilus. Personally, 24 mines is fine. I don't see what people have an issue with. 24 mines is enough to do what we need them to do, and I think any more than that is a little bit ridiculous, so kudos. I think that is a good number, and people that have a problem with only 24 mines, I think that might be a little bit ridiculous. I think any more than 24 mines and you're getting into like into now that we know these are going to last for days, multiple days, I think anything more than 24 mines per Nautilus is ridiculous. Will the mines communicate data back to the mothership, for example, where they've autonomously moved to? People have some great questions. Whether they've been activated and what they've detected, hostile versus friendly. So will these mines be able to communicate? Like, are they going to be like sensor oriented that tell us like the ships that are in the area? So let's see what the answer is. This is interesting. Once deployed, mines enter a pseudo read-only state where the deploying player can see limited information about them, such as the expected wear and degradation level and their status. So no, you will not be able to have like this amazing sensor field around it. That's what ships are for. That's what sensor ships are for. That's why they have other ships that can perform those roles. All right. I'm kind of digging it. I think that the Nautilus should have a larger sensor array and should have some ability in addition to the mines to be able to track these types of things. So we'll see down the road if that's something that they will attack or cover. Since the mines track and follow targets, can they operate within a planet's atmosphere? Oh my gosh, we talked about this at the very beginning. Let's see. The mines thrusters only work in 0G. Aha. So you can't use these on planets. I know there's going to be tons of people that didn't even get this portion of the video. They're going to be like, you can't do that, DG. Be patient. Watch the video, man. The mine thrusters only work in 0G. If they're deployed or end up in the atmosphere, they will be unable to maintain their position. The mines will abort tracking a target if it's beyond their capability to intercept. Aha. Interesting. So it almost sounds like that they kind of will go towards an object, go towards a capital ship, because it's talking about the mines intercepting. So it almost sounds like the mines have this kind of tracking system in them that make them go to larger capital ships. Interesting. I wonder if it goes towards smaller ships as well. Could a stealth ship like an Eclipse, Raven, or Saber bypass mines with relative ease? Now, before I even read the answer, yes, I think they should. Will other ships be able to scan their surroundings to detect mines, or is the Nautilus the only ship capable of doing that? Any ship can detect and be detected by mines as it uses the game-wide signature and radar system. Stealth ships will naturally be harder to detect, so stand a better chance of safely bypassing mines. So it sounds like beware. It sounds like that that you will probably be able to use like an Eclipse or ships with smaller signatures or stealth ships to navigate the mine area for whatever reason, like reconnaissance. But be careful, they're saying, because if you show up at any instance, whether it be, through detection by another ship or, God forbid, a glitch, then you're going to go. And I think with smaller ships, it's more an issue of the guns in the mine shooting because that's wicked. That's wicked cool that these mines have turrets in them. Stealth ships will naturally be harder to detect, so stand a better chance of safely bypassing mines. Ships with specialized radar and scanners will find themselves much better suited to detecting mines at a distance. Cool. Can the cargo hold be used to store additional mines? If so, how many can it store? No, the cargo bay is purely for cargo storage and is not large enough to get mines in or out. Aha. So they're basically making sure that you can't kind of like find a loophole in the system, you know, and I think that's great. I think there should be a set amount per Nautilus that is the definite amount of mines that you can put in a Nautilus, and there should be no loophole where some people can kind of do an end around and put even more mines in it. I think that's great that they've done that. Are mines set to friend or foe targeting? If a teammate lays a minefield, will it automatically only target enemy unknown contacts? Now, this is a great feature because this mechanic really isn't in the game yet. You know, it should be interesting to see how this is going to roll out. It says the player deploying mines can set a friend or foe status using the existing faction hostility system, which is very flawed. You know, it's in there, but it's very flawed. That's why I say it's kind of not in there. Providing a player's teammate is in the same faction or has the same hostility level, they will not be targeted. However, players can deploy mines without any of these protections if they wish. This makes me feel a little bit concerned. This is just more about them having to flesh out these kind of these game mechanics within Star Citizen right now for me to feel more comfortable with that. Since this is down the road, I'm not too concerned about it right now, but this is something that I think should definitely be easy, you know, so that the more difficult this setup is, the more people will find that this ship will not have a use. So the actual way in which you're laying mines and that you've set friend or foe status with the current faction hostility system might be a little bit difficult. So I think they're going to have to make it a little bit more ease of use. And I'm pretty sure that SIG will do that. But that is a small concern for me. That's a small concern for me and for those that own a Nautilus. So are more mine variations being considered? There are plans for more mine types in the future. Sweet. But none have progressed to the point we're happy to discuss their details yet. That sounds like maybe they really aren't even doing it. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that's great that there's more mine variants out there, or at least they're thinking about it. So, you know, let's just get to the point where we get the ship out with the mines that are designed for it first before we worry about additional mines, in my opinion. But great question though. What is the detection range of the mines? Aha, this is important. And sentries, how far away before the mines engage an enemy? So it's actually asking the proximity of the mine blowing up, and it's also asking the range at which they start shooting at smaller ships. The maximum detection range is another tricky statistic to quantify, as it completely depends on both the components of the mine, they use regular adjustable ship items, and the emissions of the target. That said, we expect each mine to have at least a minimum engagement radius of between 5 and 10 kilometers. They will pursue targets a fair distance beyond that too, to allow relatively small quantities of mines to cover a moderately large area. So you really have to be kind of on top of these mines for something to happen. I think that strategically you can find the distance between two fleets going at one another, A to B, and figure out where that intersects to put mines appropriately so that 10 kilometers is not that big of an issue. That is kind of a tight area. 10 kilometers, a little tight. But still, I think that if you're planning these mines in a trajectory that is in between point A to B of where the enemy fleet is coming from, or if you're going to put them in more of a sphere configuration around your fleet and park your fleet, like basically have the minefield outside of your fleet, that would also be a very good strategy to lay mines. I think laying mines also to disrupt miners is a great way to get at organizations' money flow and affect their cash, which is a great idea. Is just put like you got reconnaissance pilots that go into like ore fields that are stealth, that our enemy orgs are in there and collecting miners like prospectors or an Orion, God forbid. That would be awesome to put mines around that. Pocket them in an ore field and boom, you're blowing up miners. I think that would be awesome gameplay, and that's another reason I love this Nautilus. You can really think ahead here and think of all the uses that you can have for the Nautilus. Will we be able to create a precise patterns for our mines? Good question. Such as spheres or triangles, and have the mines go to their designated locations without having to fly the Nautilus in said pattern and guess when to release? Oh God, please let the answer be yes. Oh my goodness, I'm all nervous. The mine control room allows the operators to see the positions of where the mines will end up, but we don't currently plan to let the user pick from specific post-deployment patterns. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that means. The mine control room allows operators to see the position of where the mines will end up, but we don't currently plan to let the user pick from specific post-deployment patterns. So it's saying you can't like pick pre-designated patterns, but in the mine control room, people that are, kind of doing the work needed to lay these mines will be able to see the positions of where the mines are. So that sounds like that they need to be much clearer with the answer. It sounds like you're literally going to have to fly the Nautilus around in a certain pattern to lay these mines, which they need to work on that. Instead, the Nautilus crew must work together to place mines on what they deem to be the best pattern given the ship's movement capabilities and launchers to position. Flying at a lower speed allows for much more accurate deployment. So this is going to basically be old school, lay the mines with the ship, and maybe you'll be able to move them around. Maybe you'll have like mine teams go out there and be able to move them. That would be crazy, like holding the mine in 0G and pushing it. I wouldn't suggest doing that, but that sounds like pretty interesting work. Or perhaps like a little ship or a little like tool that you could use to like move these mines in space would be actually pretty cool down the road. So this is something that can be improved, and right now it's very rudimentary in how you lay these mines. So unfortunately, no, you're not going to have these really cool pre-designated patterns that you're going to be able to do from the ship. However, like they said with the other mines, there is going to be options in the future, where they're going to bring out different mines, and I would imagine that there's going to be a loud enough voice that they might create another mine that's like what do we want to call, like a signature radius, a GPS type mine that goes exactly how you like to designate a pattern. I really hope they do something like that. That would be cool for all Nautilus owners. Will the laying of mines be considered a crime? Oh, as you might expect, it depends. The legality of mine laying is dependent upon the laws and jurisdiction of the area. So like highly regulated UEE areas, laying mines is going to be a no-no, I can tell you right now, as well as the authority or lack thereof of the organization tasking you with laying the mines. You can probably assume that laying mines in the vicinity of a heavily inhabited UEE planet would be a very criminal act. On the other hand, being tasked by a UEE mission giver to deploy mines around a jump point to a Vandal occupied system would likely be legal. There are all kinds of possible circumstances in between two, which inhabit various legal gray areas. So this is like a wait and see thing. This is like a try and see thing as well. So, like this is going to be kind of sloppy to begin with. Laying mines, probably going to get all different types of sec status hits, and you're gonna go rogue probably. But I think over time, as they iron out this law system that they're trying right now, so simplistic right now, but in the future, I think that they will accommodate people that are flying the Nautilus and laying mines in different areas. I just don't think heavily UEE areas are going to be great areas to do this in. Can mines be remotely hacked? Yes. Oh, what? The Nemo drone performs this task as the range that mines can be hacked from is short. The Nemo drone performs this task as the range that mines can be hacked from is short. Interesting. So you use a Nemo drone to hack into the mine, and then it actually affects the range of the mines. I'm not quite sure exactly what that's getting at right there. The brochure says the Nautilus has 2 large quantum fuel tanks, but the stats page says it has 1. which is correct? The brochure is correct, so it does have 2 large quantum fuel tanks. The stats page will be updated. Also, the brochure doesn't specifically list the missile turret as a separate item. Instead, it accounts for it in place of one of the listed 53 gun turrets. These differences were due to adjustments that took place after the brochure had gone to print, which was many weeks ahead of the release of the ship and before some of the internal review gates. Interesting. Why do mines have a much smaller payload compared to their size? An S7 mine correlates with a S5 torpedo's payload despite being more challenging to deploy and retrieve. Good question. Once all the internal components of the mines are accounted for, the remaining space is appropriate to the current payload. If in further testing we find that mines are under or overperforming, we'll adjust their performance to suit. So if they're too massively strong, they're going to nerf it. And if they're not strong enough, they're going to buff it. Simple, simple, simple coding right there. Very interesting. I really love the Nautilus. I know a lot of people out there that have considered buying the ship. I would say that at the very least, if you are somebody out there who has a large organization, and we're talking, you know, a couple hundred members, and you've got a couple, you know, you got capital ships in the range of like 10 to 30 or more, yes, you'd be dumb not to get one of these ships. I mean, it's going to be kind of like the mainstay of any capital ship fleet, and it definitely will affect battles in a way that makes it so much cooler because, you know, depending upon how destructive these mines are, people are going to take their time about going about attacking a fleet. They're just not going to run in balls out, woo, and just go and attack it with everything they got if they know that there could be mines around it, which then makes strategic battle very in-depth, very immersive, very drawn out, very long, kind of chess-like battles, like you're playing chess. Yes, this is a good thing. The Nautilus is a good thing. I really like the ship, and this was great additional information. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks to all my patrons out there. Thanks for everything you guys are doing for the channel. It's great to see us growing. And don't forget, we are having a giveaway for an Avenger that will be given out mid-September. So all you have to do is be a Patreon to that. And thanks, guys. I will see you on the next vid.